Alright, let's give it a moment or two. Just let the thunderclouds gather in here real slow. We got a little bit of stuff to go over, more than we've had lately for transactions, I'll say, including one in football, which is kind of interesting, I'll say there. Okay, let's let this fucker do its thing. Son of a fucking bitch, you goddamn stupid fucking phone. Okay, yeah, let's just weave it real tight like Dreamweaver. No, that's not what I want to do there. Yep, I'll do that there. Alright, let's hit this little shithead here. And then hit this little fuck face here. There we go. Perfect. But like I said, we need to let the Thunderlings, roam in, the thunderclouds, before we get started. Probably a short stream. I don't think we're doing any video games tonight. We'll see if I change my mind, but probably just be a straight shot right to the trachea and then get the fuck out of here. We're just waiting on our ever-loved Wrench, who seems to always be late these days. Getting kind of annoyed with his tardiness, to be honest. Might have to write him up. Just give him, 6 to 10 more minutes. He wouldn't know a goddamn screwdriver from a wrench, if you ask me. Okay, I'm going to give him 20 more fucking seconds. And if he's not here in 20 more fucking seconds, I'm just going to get the goddamn news started without him, because I'm sorry there's no 2-minute warning. Now you need to be here right away. He's got 5 seconds. He's got 2 seconds. And he's gone beyond the 2-minute mark. This is just completely unfathomable to me and unacceptable. I think it warrants demerit points from the fucking wrench. Finally, Sage, we've been live for 2 minutes and 16 seconds. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Sage, we've been waiting for you. That's 2 minutes and 25 seconds because of your little stall tactics. Oh, your internet crapped out? Okay, well, I'm sorry. You get your shit on data. Get your shit on data. I'm not going to shut my hole. I ain't doing that. This is my time. This is my time. Polish that wrench and shove it straight up your fucking sweet candy ass. Okay? And yeah, everyone's turning against the main wrenchman. It's not a good feeling, is it, Sage? To have everyone fucking turning their backs on you. But let's get right to it. We're here for a good time, not a long time, as the song says. Let me just close out Discord here. Let's make my little notepad a little bit bigger here. Yeah, let's get to the brass taxes. So first and foremost, we've got Kirby Yates. Kirby Yates signing a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Angels. He is probably the favorite to close for the Angels. Actually, a guy that we wanted last year, but I think we lost out to the Dodgers. So he spent a year with the Dodgers with a 5.23 ERA. Had a great strikeout, 52 strikeouts and 41 in the third inning. The year prior, which certainly not sustainable, had a 1.17 ERA in 2024. Deal's worth up to $5 million, and for his career, let's just take a bit of a deeper dive into this. I mean, he's 38. So we're kind of getting a tale of just complete mixedness. 2023, 3.28. Not really much at 35. Didn't play in 2021. Big ERA in fucking 2020. 1.19 ERA. So for his career, 3.36. But this guy is all over the place. So a good little bargain to take. But honestly, this guy is just completely off the fucking map. So it's not a big contract in terms of money, so it might pay off. It might be a complete disaster. Given that he's signing with the Angels, I'm going to guess that it's probably a complete disaster there. Now, speaking of disasters, we're actually sticking with the Angels, and we've got Anthony Rendon who I loved. I loved back when he was with the Nationals. He was one of my third basemen, I think, in MLB The Show, and I absolutely adored him. Unfortunately, he then signed a 7-year, $245 million deal with the Los Angeles Angels, or Anaheim Angels, and has been just a complete colossal bust. So basically what's happening is the Angels don't want this guy on this team, so they're allowing him to just retire early because they don't want him on the team. He's been coming off hip surgery. We'll get to some of his numbers in a second. And they're just basically like, okay, you'll get your final $38 million. We're just going to kind of put it over a certain amount of years. So I guess it helps their cap as well. With the Angels, so you're talking through 6 years. 6 years. This is a guy that you would have wanted, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was. You would have been like, I want Nolan Arenado and I want Anthony Rendon. Those are the two big guys. Well, $245 million down the drain. He hit for a 242 average, a 348 on base, which isn't bad for the on base part of it, a 369 slugging in 257 games played. That's not even 2 seasons of work. That's like 1.5 or 1.65, seasons that he essentially played. So an absolute garbage signing. It seems to happen with every big signing that the Angels make, and that's probably why Ohtani took his business elsewhere. Now let's get right back to it. The San Francisco Giants made a signing today. This one's kind of an interesting one in a few ways. You're talking about someone who's extremely injury prone, not offering a ton of upside. I mean, there's maybe some upside there, but it's kind of underwhelming since they had signed Adrian Hauser, who we expect is going to kind of fall back on his face. Looks like it's going to be a 1-year deal. It wasn't official, but they say it's pretty much a done deal, so it's going to happen. Now, last year, Tyler Miley put up a 2.18 ERA in 16 starts. Peripherals suggest he wasn't quite as good. I think they suggested he was like a 3.37 FIP, which isn't that far off the mark. That's still solid. If you're a 3.37 ERA, you're a hell of a starter there. The only thing is that he's dealt with some shoulder injuries last year. He's gone through Tommy John in 2023, and he's only made a total of 24 starts. Just 24 starts the last 3 years. His velocity last season was down 2 miles per hour from his one healthy season, which was in 2021. So, I don't know. When you kind of frame it that way, not really sure what to think. I would probably say that... Well, let's just go through the numbers a little bit. Let's break it down. So 30 years old, turning 31 probably soon. 4.07 ERA in his career. He never fucking pitches, so let's go through his innings pitched. Innings pitched 86.2, 12.2, 25.2, 16.1, 104.1, 120.2, 180, which would be 2021. So, I mean, this guy just doesn't fucking pitch. So, I don't know, man. I could be wrong. I don't really see the upside here. But you're not paying him anything, so, throw a couple darts at the board and see if they stick, you know what I mean? Plus, he's pitching in San Francisco, the ball doesn't carry there. Although he's going to go up against some pretty damn good offenses in, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks. Not so much Colorado, though. We do have Blue Jays news today, and they actually made 2 extremely intriguing signings for me, at least. That being that they're both 2-year minor league deals that we doled out. Now, it's very rare to see 2 minor league deals, or not, like, it just doesn't happen. Normally, it's a 1-year deal, that sort of thing. Prove it, make the team. There's some incentives that get kicked in. But the Blue Jays first signed relief pitcher Nic Enright to a 2-year minor league deal. He had Tommy John surgery. No, Sage. These are good signings. Let me actually shut your fucking mouth and let me get into why these are good signings. These are some fucking really good signings I'm going to explain to you right now. So Nic Enright, Tommy John surgery in October. He was pitching in the major leagues this year. Okay? And when he pitched in the major leagues this year in 31 innings, which is basically kind of like half a season of work for a reliever, let's say, right? He had a fucking 1.0 WAR. That's pretty good for a fucking reliever. Now, his ERA was 2.03. So get that through your thick skull. He had a 2.03 ERA. That's pretty damn fucking good if you ask me. Strikeouts, not bad. 30 and 31 innings. Walk rate 3.5, kind of normal-ish. Doesn't let a lot of hits per 9. Whip was 1.16. So this guy could be a completely viable option for the Jays. But, of course, Tommy John means he's not going to pitch in 2025. So it's going to be 2026. Now, he's also had to overcome Hodgkin's lymphoma earlier in his career. So he's had some delays. He'll be 30 when he returns in 2027. But there's an absolutely good chance that he turns out to be a quality reliever for a few years. Because think about it. You're buying this guy who's only had 1 year. He's only had 1 year. So the arbitration you have for 6 or 7 years, right? So you could be looking at a potential bargain here. Like, it's a bargain because it's a minor league deal. But I mean a bargain. Like, he pitches good in 2027. Like, when does the arbitration kick in? Let me just, take a quick look at that, because this one does intrigue me. The other one does intrigue me as well, because, we're talking about guys that were pitching in the majors and haven't, sustained success. This is really thinking out of the box a bit, and it's really thinking long-term, where there's some question marks in the bullpen. There are some question marks with our starting rotation after this season. So I kind of like these moves. They don't cost any money. This is the kind of shit you got to do. The SPO track is not updated, so I can't tell you about the arbitration, when arbitration's going to kick in and that sort of thing. He's still in pre-arbitration for a couple more years. Let's just put it that way. Now, in terms of his stuff, we basically can go to, and I just found this site tonight. I've used it before for other things. Normally it's like Dan trying to show me exit velocity, that sort of thing. Yeah, Happy New Year's, everyone. I forgot to lead off with that because Sage was late. Anyways, this site here, Baseball Savant. Now, Dan's always using it for exit velocity and all that shit for hitters because he's a big fan of exit velocity, which is great. Great, grand, you know what I mean? But I'm going to use this in terms of, just letting you know kind of what he throws, his stuff. So his fastball is not overly, it's not overly powerful. 93.2 miles per hour is his average fastball, so he probably can hit 95. Not great. Whiff percent is 18.8, and put away is 14.0%. Now, slider looks to be this guy's pitch here. Probably the reason why he blew out his fucking arm. 85 miles per hour with the slider on average, a whiff percentage of 42.9, and a put away of 23.2%. So that, for his fastball, is based on 353 pitches. For his slider, based on 138 pitches. And then, to way lesser extent, you got the curveball, thrown 40 times last year at 82.6 average miles per hour. The whiff rate being 33.3. Put away not as good as the slider, 16.7. And then he threw one changeup last year at 85.6. So it's not even worth mentioning. Basically, 3-pitch pitcher, the slider being by far the most effective pitch. So we'll see what that means. Now, I'm not into the spin rates. I don't know what all this shit means, but it looks like all his pitches spin between 2,400 and 2,515 for the spin rate. I'm sorry, Sage. You still would have been late even if there was a 2-minute warning, and I took the wrench and I gave it to Hopper, so unless you want to pry it from Hopper's lifeless fucking hands, it's not going to goddamn happen. So I think this is a good addition. I actually think this guy is going to be a part of the Blue Jays down the road. Obviously not this year, but percentile rankings too have him listed as great. So kind of interesting. Cleveland would just say, "Hey, fuck you." They didn't want to pay like $720,000 for him to basically sit on the bench. I don't know. And I will not give wrenches back. Now, the other signing, you might actually be familiar with him a little bit. Josh Winckowski of the Boston Red Sox. Now, this guy in his career, he's pretty good. I mean, he's got a pretty good arm. We'll go over that here shortly. Now, he did have a surgery. He's going to miss most of 2026. He had some sort of internal brace surgery. I don't hear that term very often. Again, like I said, 2-year minor league deal. Surgery was previously unreported. He missed a lot of last season with elbow inflammation, so it's kind of not surprising that he had to get the surgery. Should have just bit the bullet and got it sooner, but that's why it's benefiting the Jays. So 27 years old, has a career 4.20 ERA in 21 starts and 100 relief appearances over the last 4 seasons with the Red Sox before being non-tendered last month. So you're looking at a guy that can be versatile. Maybe your 6-man, your swing man, can go to the bullpen, can start when someone gets injured. I really like this signing. I'm not saying like, oh my god, it's like the greatest thing ever. But I'm just saying, I mean, you're looking at pretty solid fucking numbers. A 4.2 ERA. Strikeouts per 9 aren't great, 7.2. Walks are kind of normalish, 3.3. FIP suggests right around where he is, 4.35. But what gets me a little more excited about him is when you kind of look at his stuff a bit. Now, I mean, he's a righty, so I mean, it is what it is, but his stuff actually interests me a little bit. So I'm going to go over that in just 1 second. So we're only going to look at the last 2 years just to see if there's been any changes and that sort of thing. So 2025, he had 61, again, small sample because he had elbow inflammation. Averaging 94.7 with the fastball, the 4-seamer, based on 61 fucking pitches. So not a lot of pitches there. Throws a cutter at 89.6 average. The sinker ball, ironically, goes a little bit faster than, or no, it's exactly what the 4-seamer goes. And we do like sinker ballers. 94.7 as well with that. So good velocity, first and foremost. Not a guy that's going to be a frontline starter, don't get me wrong, but for back end, from that 4 to 6, pretty good, I would say. Changeup 91.8, and his slider last year was 86.2. Now, whiff percentage, it's actually the sinker. The sinker this year was 38.1, so that was his best pitch this year for whiff percentage. Best pitch in terms of put away was the slider at 21.4%. Now, extremely sample sized. I think there's actually better data that we can gather by looking at 2024. Looks like he worked the cutter, interestingly enough, more in 2024 than any of his other pitches. Velocity was 90.4, so it was actually up by about a mile from 2025. Um, 436 pitches. The sinker was thrown 418 times at an average of 95.1. Very interesting. So he really likes the sinker and the cutter, it appears. Um, Slider, 85.2. So it was actually a little slower with the slider. The changeup, 91.4 on 26 pitches. So you can't really factor that in. What I find, or 156, sorry. The four-seamer, though. It's very strange to see a pitcher who throws the four-seamer less than any other pitch. Now, the velocity was good, 95.1. Only 65 pitches. Whereas he threw his cutter 436 times, sinker 418 times. Now, I kind of do like a cutter. Now, I wouldn't go with my cutter number one. I wouldn't go with my cutter number one. I would probably go with my sinker. That's just me, though. But, I mean, the cutter-sinker combo is pretty nice because, let's just say, you're a right-handed bat. Well, the cutter's going to go away from them. The sinker's going to go into them. So you got options there, depending on where, their hot spray charts are, that sort of thing. This guy's definitely going to make a major league appearance for us. And I think, too, that he's going to be one that actually is going to contribute, potentially as a sixth starter. I mean, Eric Lauer, we don't know if Eric Lauer is going to be back, for much longer. We don't know who the hell's going to be here. Now, his spin rate, not quite as good as Nic Enright. It's in the low 2000s, but he definitely has velocity that is, much crisper, we'll just put it that way. Let's get to football, where the Packers made a very interesting claim today. It was kind of funny, actually, because I was sent a text from either Graham or Dan yesterday. I think it was actually Graham. It was just a picture of, I don't know, Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs when they were in Dallas together. I don't know. They were holding the jerseys when they played each other, I think, earlier this year. They did the jersey exchange or whatever. And I don't know, there was a prediction that, maybe the Packers would want to sign him. Now, to me, it's a good signing. Now, do I like it for this year? Yes, it's okay. I'm okay with it. I don't really care. Packers aren't going to win it anyway. I actually look at this as more of a long-term signing for the Packers than a short-term signing. Now, he had a huge year in 2021. I do not think he's ever going to replicate the 11 interceptions that he had as a 23-year-old in 16 ball games. That's just not realistic. But do I think he can be a solid contributor? Absolutely. So let's just kind of break him down a little bit. Like, what was he early in his career? So as a rookie, you're looking at a guy who played 11 games starting, had 12 games overall, 3 interceptions, 14 passes defended. Okay, that's a pretty damn good rookie season, I would say. I don't have a problem with that at all. He did add in a sack, 58 tackles as well. And when I say tackles, I'm just talking about combination tackles. So he had 49 solo, 9 assists. But I'm just going to really, because he's a corner, I'm just going to focus on the combination tackles. Now, in 2023, he was obviously a Pro Bowler. He was All-Pro as well, All-Pro number 1. So he was arguably the best cornerback in football during this time here. Like I said, 16 games, 11 interceptions, 2 of them for a touchdown, pretty crazy. 21 passes defended. So, 21 passes defended, 52 tackles. I do like that this guy can tackle. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think he actually is going to fit the scheme very well. So, first 2 years look great. 2022, is also a Pro Bowl year for him. He had 59 tackles, he had 14 passes defended, and he had 3 interceptions. Now, I don't know how good that year was actually, if he was getting a Pro Bowl because of the previous season, but I'm willing to bet that he still played at a very high level. I'm not going to say he was definitely a Pro Bowler. Now, I think things start to get hairy in 2023 because there was some injuries that occurred. So I'm just going to quickly read through here and see if I can find out what the injuries were. Let's not focus on that. We know he's injured. We know he's had injuries. So here's where I feel like the decline starts to happen for him. 2023. And obviously, he declined from 2021 because his performance was so high. I don't look at what he did in 2022 and say what he did was bad. No, it's just he's not going to get 11 interceptions per year. Now, actually, in 2023, he did have an interception in 2 games, 4 tackles as well. So, really, the pass defense of 3, he was actually having a really good start to the year. Now, obviously, the problem is he got injured and he only played in 2 games. So, I wouldn't necessarily say it was the performance here. I would obviously say it was the injury. So now we come to 2024. What does he do in 2024? 11 passes defended, interceptions only at 2. Obviously, he was injured. He only played 11 games. The combination tackles are still there, 42. So still not that bad. And then, fast forward to this year where he's basically a replacement level player for the Dallas Cowboys. He starts 6 games. Tackles are still good. 25 and 8 games total, 6 games started. Now, the problem here is no interceptions and no passes defended. So, pretty lousy year, I would say. Now, there's a couple things going on. I think he was A, injured this year. B, I think that, there is rumored to be a rift between him and Dallas for quite some time now. So I think that could potentially, create some performance issues as well. I really look at this as, one thing the Packers lack this year, and we do have a great defense. But Xavier McKinney hasn't been the Xavier McKinney of 2024. He hasn't gotten those 7 or 8 interceptions for us. Well, I think that Trevon Diggs potentially could add that element. I'm not saying he's getting 7 or 8. I'm not saying he's getting 1 every 2 games. I'm just saying he has that ability to create turnovers, which could help the Packers in the playoffs. So that's strike number 1. Number 2, though, I kind of look at it from a long-term standpoint of let's get this guy acclimated. He helps us now, but let's kind of do an audition for him. Let's do an audition. We're not going to have to pay him much anyway to keep him. He's obviously good friends with Micah Parsons. So let's see if this guy can actually pick up the defense. So he's going to get reps this week where we're resting not most of our starters, but a lot of our key starters. So let's see how he gets acclimated. Let's see how he does in a playoff game or 2. And then let's look to re-sign him in the offseason to a cheap, probably a 1-year proven extension is what I believe he would accept. And let's just see what we got here. He tackles a lot. Green Bay is the best tackling team when it comes to preventing yak. He fits in with that philosophy. We need a ball hawk. Even if he can become a ball hawk of just 4 fucking interceptions, that's an improvement on any one of our corners right now. So I think this is a hell of a signing. You don't pay him anything. Maybe he helps you for the playoffs, but I think long term, this could be interesting. And by long term, I get that he's 27. I mean long term, let's just see what he can do in the next 2 to 4 years potentially for your franchise. Because, let's face it, cornerbacks that go into the 30s, Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson, they're very rare to find, to be honest with you. So I don't think he's going to be playing until his mid-30s. I like that he can tackle. I like that he can turn the ball over and get past defenses. But he needs to restore the form and get back to it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, that brings us to the end of the sports that I had covered. I'll quickly check ESPN and see if there's like just anything major, like Rafael Furcal throwing fireworks at people, that sort of thing. Let's just see here. Don't really have enough. I see Joe Burrow saying something's got to change regarding their franchise there in Cincinnati. But other than that, I do not see a goddamn fucking thing. So yeah, we covered a lot of ground tonight. I think I'm going to use Baseball Savant a little more. I think Baseball Savant actually gives us a nice picture about what the pitchers are doing. I like it far more than Fangraphs, where it's like, oh my god, I got to scroll here, there, and everywhere to see VFA, when it's like, shit, I could have just went to Baseball Savant, our new official sponsor, and got, the numbers. Number of times they throw a pitch. How crazy is that? That's advanced analytics. All right. The cats are calling. They want me to tuck them into bed. They say Happy New Year. Actually, no. Scrambles said Happy New Queer to Sage, I think. Yeah, I think they just called you out, man. It's a good girl, Scrambles, for calling out Sage, yeah. You get an extra chunk of food for that, okay? That's a good girl right there. Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, you call out Sage any fucking day of the week. All right, Sage, go fuck yourself. What? I was just going to say go fuck yourself, San Diego. Because that was what was written on the board next. All right, so what's tomorrow? Let's just see what tomorrow is. It's weird. We've got no... Before we go, we've got no fantasy sports to cover. We've got no Thursday night football to predict. So we're really to that point where baseball's going to start delivering us some fucking big moves. Honestly. Sage, we don't want to hear that we've been reported again and that you're reporting this channel again. Actually, if you do it, Facebook's going to consider it harassment. And they're actually going to ban you from being able to use YouTube on any platform. So try it, man. I've already talked to the higher ups, and they're prepared for you. And they're prepared to shut you down. You won't just use your wrench. You'll lose your fucking entire profile. So, bring it on. Bring it on. I want you to report me. I want you to report every fucking thing I've said on here. And I will stand at the tribunal with my hands in the air and my one hand cupping my ear. What? Can you hear that? And then I will fucking proceed to give you a goddamn lag drop. How does that sound? You don't want a fucking lag drop, man. You don't want these thunder thighs coming down towards your trachea, Sage. You do not want to feel the thunder thigh. Alright. That's enough. Happy New Year, guys, and have a good night.